times have changed.
Yes.
So in school, I was in a thing called Talented and Gifted, or TAG. So we had to take, one of our classes was the TAG class. We had to do TAG English, TAG Science, TAG whatever. But the TAG class, we have video. It's on YouTube right now.
Really?
Because one of our projects in 7th grade, we're talking 7th grade, was we had to create and make a video. This is old Super 8 or whatever,
You made a video?
We made a video in the class. And y'all, the video was Chinese Kung Fu theater.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had 3 of the guys, and they were in their little gis or whatever, and I was the voiceover. Like, my voice is the voiceover of this video we put together in like 1984 or something. And the guys are like shirtless, fighting in school. And at one point, and we did these like break for commercials, and we did a beer commercial.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
And crushed the beer.
Hold up.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
You're in
Things
high
are
school.
different now. No, this was junior high school.
Junior high.
Oh, I'm going to have to play it for y'all at some point. We may even have to get it and put it in this.
What school
this
did you go
podcast.
to?
Sylvan Hills, right here in North Little Rock.
Sylvan Hills contributes to delinquency of minors in the 80s.
That's a good way to get the podcast started off today.
Oh, yeah. So, welcome, everybody, to a conservative conversation we're having today. A group of us got together to see. We have some really interesting stories, I think, to tell.
It's pretty exciting. I know Ethan. I've known Ethan for 3 or 4 years. I think, Mark, you've known him for a year or so. Independently. I've just met Mark. Mark and I met this past weekend.
That's right, yeah.
We did spend about 6 hours together on Saturday.
Gosh,
5 hours.
I don't remember it, honey. It's all a blur now.
And now we have a good dialogue going on some things, and we do, and y'all do. I think it's going to be fun to bring this conversation together. We're all kind of from 3 different walks of life.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But as y'all will see my opinion on all this, we're all from the same walk of life in a couple of main important areas. One is with what's going on in the world, what's going on in the country, I truly believe this has separated out into an us against them. And when I mean us against them, I'm talking wealthy elite that is trying to protect themselves and protect their corporate profits and tax breaks for the rich and different rules for the wealthy than we have. And then we have the rest of us. And it is the people who actually make this country run, and the working class, and the people who create the profits for the people who are making our lives more difficult.
Even that second class has divisions of its own.
Oh, bad.
And you look at the working class and the MAGA supporters, if you will, that are extreme believers. And then you look on the other side where you have your liberals, the furthest extreme on the other side. So we're divided even among the working class, and we're all beholden to those who are making all the money at the top. There are fractures throughout. The main fracture, though, is us versus them, however you define us and them. And we know a house divided against itself cannot stand. How much longer are we going to be able to survive in this country as divided as we are, unless we do something?
Well, especially when the big divide we're talking about, the us versus them divide, they are doing everything they can to keep us divided among ourselves.
That's right.
And it's time we came together. We'll go before this later, but let's pick up with what was your decision to go into the military, and take us back to that time period in your life. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
What were you expecting when you went in? Because, I was expecting that I was going to be in for 20. And I was in for 6. Mm-hmm. You were probably expecting something, and then something else happened. Tell us about that whole journey, if you have a minute.
How old are you, Sierra? 19.
Oh, by the way, happy birthday.
Oh, you had a birthday?
Oh,
Recent
happy birthday.
Happy birthday. So, at 16, I thought I knew everything.
Yes, you probably did.
I had
You've
all
forgotten
answers.
it now.
Yeah,
You did probably know everything.
Yeah, I knew everything.
I knew everything when I was 16.
yeah. And
Huh.
my dad
Remarkable.
said, no, you don't. So there was conflict. My mom, my mother, man, bless her heart, my mom was the sugar to my dad's salt. I needed them both, but she was the one, no matter how wrong I was, she was the one that said, okay, baby. She would put on love. My dad was the one that says, boy, I will knock you out. You talk back. So, at 16, I figured. So my older brother, I'm the youngest. I was the youngest of three boys, and my oldest brother joined the army. And I'm like, man, he got out of the house. I'm leaving. I'm going in the army, and I was 16, but I couldn't. So I started talking to my mom. I said, Mom, when I turned 17, I want to join the army. And she said, well, you got to talk to your dad. I said, no, you got to talk to him for me. So we started working on my dad. He was like, no, you're going to school, period. So, okay. Me being a knucklehead, I looked at when I was going through separation, I looked at my enlistment contract when I signed. It was on my 17th birthday, December 26, 1980. And my dad, my mom and I agreed to, and he signed off on me to join, and I couldn't wait. And on my 17th birthday, the day after Christmas, the recruiter was there with the paperwork, and I signed it on that date. And it was like, wow. Looking back at that, it was amazing. It was like, yeah. So as soon as I turned 17, I was a junior in high school. I went to basic training between the junior and senior year of high school in the split option program.
Yep.
And my point was, I'll stay 20 years and retire, because the Army slogan at that time was, hey, 20 years and receive half pay for the rest of your life. That was a selling point, and it worked on me. I said, I can retire at 38.
Yeah.
So I went in with intent to stay 20, and I stayed 34. It was just the opposite of you, maybe a little bit, but service, that service, it became easy for me because everything the Army taught me was just reinforcing what my dad was trying to teach me all along. And all those lessons kept coming back. So leadership was easy for me because I was a good follower. I would follow him, hey, get out of here and do here. Okay, yelling didn't bother me, because so that for me showed me that there's a chance. And the Army grows its own leaders. So as a young 2 years in, you find yourself gaining the respect of your leaders, and they start giving you, responsibility. Next thing you know, you go to the promotion board, and you're promotable now, and then you make sergeant.
Wow.
Sergeant is that low-level leadership, that unit-level leadership that makes everything happen.
Were you a specialist or a corporal?
I was a specialist.
See, that corporal is the same thing, because some of those E4 specialists, they tap for that promotable position.
But see, it depends on your organization structure. If they don't have corporal allocations, they won't give, And now, if you were a corporal, you were a bad butt.
Yep.
Yeah, if you got to be a corporal, you were a non-commissioned officer, you were a leader
E4.
as an E4.
Okay.
But once you make sergeant, and they still had specialist fives back then when I was in, but once you make sergeant, you're a recognized leader, and you have responsibilities. And that's where the rubber meets the road, because you're learning how to be a leader. You've transitioned from being a follower to now the leader, and it's a rough period because it's conflicting.
One thing that the Army does right is leadership development.
That's right.
Now you're
Yes.
like A-Not, B-Not, all the
Yes.
different schools. Tell us about what all the military paid for you to learn how to be a good leader.
Started with primary leadership development as an E4. Anticipation of going to the next rank of being a sergeant. They send you to primary leadership development, and it teaches you the basic tenets of leadership.
PLDC.
PLDC, yeah.
PLDC.
Yeah, primary leadership development course. So they start investing in you when they see the potential, because you get promoted based on potential, not based on what you've done, the potential you have to lead. So, and then you go from sergeant to staff sergeant, you go to basic non-commissioned officer course, and then you go from sergeant staff sergeant to sergeant first class. Once you hit the senior level, you go to senior leadership course, and that's
Talking about ANOC.
ANOC.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
Advanced.
they changed it to SLC, senior
yeah.
leadership. But here's the thing, on that potential, now you have a chance to go to the first sergeant course if you demonstrate the potential to be a leader at the company level. And you go to first sergeant course to learn how to manage a company, a troop, or whatever it is. And, if you're successful there, then you go to what they call the Sergeant's Major Academy. And less than 1% of the enlisted force makes it to that level. So you go to the Sergeant's Major Academy to learn how to be a senior leader at senior levels. And that goes all the way up to the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff. So.
And you retired as a command sergeant major, correct?
Yes.
I'm sure you won't brag on yourself, so I'm going to brag on you because I was in the Army. And some of the things that people that aren't military or that don't know military, they see officers, they see non-commissioned officers. They've heard that, sergeants, we've heard that. But unless you're in it, you really don't know. But for those that don't know, and I went through officers basic, and I was a non-commissioned, it's about who does the work.
That's
and
right.
who plans the work.
That's right.
I mean, it really is. The officers kind of plan it. They do figure out how it's supposed to be done, and then the enlisted does it.
A real class separation between the ranks.
They had their own club.
And the bottom of the officers is a second lieutenant. We call them the butter bars.
Right.
They're the lowest
22 years old.
That is a lieutenant on what he could do, not what he's done.
Yeah.
Same thing as non-commissioned. It's the same thing. But now he comes in, and because he's an officer, he's trying to tell the sergeant major and the command sergeant major and the first sergeant who really runs the Army. And you get some of those conflict. They're taught not to.
It's really the unwise lieutenant that will come and tell a sergeant major, But at the company level, even a first sergeant, and I'll take that back to platoon level, because those young lieutenants are paired with sergeant first class to run platoons. Yep. And a platoon size is a war fighting size element that you deploy as a platoon. So they learn from those sergeant first classes, but they're in charge because they outrank you, even though they've been in the Army 3 weeks.
Right, they've been for 27 years.
Yeah. And they have to learn that there's a way the Army does things. There's a rank structure. This is not a democracy in the Army. We protect democracy. It's a total dictatorship in the Army. Yep. And it's a rank structure. And the teeth is the UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So they
Which
back
is the Constitution
up for the military.
For the military.
Yeah.
And it's punitive.
It's what?
Punitive.
Ah.
So that's the teeth that back up what I say as a sergeant to this young specialist, and he disobeys, there's consequences. Those soldiers' lives that you lead depend on the decisions that you make. So discipline is the difference in, and when I retired, it was getting bad. The difference in, the Army tell you, hey, get down. What do?
You drop.
If your sergeant tells you to get down, what do?
Your face hits the ground.
Do you say why?
No, because
do you
you're
say
get shot in the head.
That's the difference. That complete adherence to discipline. If I tell you to get down, you drop immediately. Is the difference in a sniper bullet going in your head because I've seen him and you didn't, versus you wanting to question me about my authority to tell you to get down. So that's the difference there. And the military does a really good job of that. And that develops lifelong friendships with the people that you're closest to. A very good friend of mine, he's moving into a major general slot. We were a command team together and he was a young lieutenant colonel. But now he's a 2-star general and he's a commander. So he's over, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of troops now, but you build lifetime bonds because, what they learn right there makes a difference when you have to deploy into Iraq or Afghanistan.
And having each other's back.
That's right.
And loving your brother.
And loving. We're God-like, or we strive to be God-like, at least as a Christian. And that's my belief. But, we're not here to, I don't want to
I do want to talk about your Christian belief. Tell me, yeah.
You want? Yeah.
I'd love to hear
Really?
a testimony.
Sure. Yeah.
Wow. So I believe that, first of all, I'm a child of God. I believe that. And I believe that he's left instruction for us. We call it basic instructions before leaving earth, the Bible. He's left instructions for us on how to live and navigate in this world, that's sinful, fallen world that has been fallen since the days
Since
of
there was two
Noah.
of them.
Yeah.
No, since Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve, you know, and he left instructions for us how we interact. And I believe that. And here's the thing I believe about, we were talking about politics a minute ago, that we've forgotten about God in our daily actions. We say we believe in God, and yes, you know, but our actions show different. And the word tells us a tree is known by its fruit. You know, you can tell me whatever. This man can stand up and hold the Bible up all day long saying he's a Christian, but the fruit tells the true story of who he is. So we're taught that, and then you have come to a realization that these instructions that now I've had all my life, never really read them and paid attention to them until I got in trouble. Now when I start to study and read, it makes me realize that, one, I've been blessed, but two, I have responsibilities. These instructions tell me that whatever gift the Lord has blessed me with, I have a responsibility to use that to help other people. And that's why I'm sitting here right now. Because in the military, I've been blessed with the gift of leadership. I started as a follower, groomed as a leader, made a leader. Then I got experience as a leader. I then began to train leaders and develop leaders to take my place. And then I began to lead in combat. So I've got the gift of leadership. I retired from the military and I come home. I start a nonprofit because you realize the voids in your community and you start leading there. So I've led in the community. And as a result of that, I ended up the mayor. So now I'm still leading. So those gifts the Lord has blessed me with, I have to use to help others, to better their lives. I could sit at home. I'm retired. I could enjoy the rest of my life and not work anymore and be okay. I'm not obeying those instructions then because I'm not using the gift. The Lord, I had no intentions of going to UCA in the PhD program when I retired. I got my master's degree, and I'm like, I'm done with school. Mm-hmm. That wasn't what the plan the Lord had for me. Mm-hmm. Because CDI, the community development, I started a nonprofit, so I wanted to get as much information as I could about building a community. So I went to the Community Development Institute at UCI. It's a 3-year program. You spend a week there during the summer with other. One of my cohorts was Dr. Rhonda McClellan. She was the chair of the PhD program at UCA. So the very first day she made a spiel, we have this PhD program, and if you want to, and something said, talk to her. So I talked to her. She said, Ethan, yeah. And that first year I met her in CDI, I submitted an application. I had to go and take the GRE, and I got approved. And I'm like, wow. I got accepted into the program. Never had any intentions of going to a PhD program, but I got accepted into the program. So I was driving from Louisville to Conway twice a week.
And how far is that?
That's 162 miles one way. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I would leave work early, and I'd drive to Conway. I would get home about 11:30 at night, But that very first semester, I won a van.
You won a van?
I won a van.
How did you win it?
I wrote an essay. There was a contest. Hey, we giving away a van. Veterans. And I wrote an essay, and it won, and I was given a van. And that was further confirmation that I was in the right place, and the Lord is providing transportation for me to drive back and forth every day. Yeah. So those are the types of things that continue to drive me, and the more I understand the word and the instructions, the more I try and live by it, and the more the Lord blesses me. So I went through that 5-year program. COVID hit. It's probably the best thing because I didn't have to drive to Conway twice a week anymore because everything went online.
You get to work remotely at that
I
point.
got to work on this very
wow.
computer right here. And but I mean, it was good. It saved me from the drive, but it didn't save me from the rigor of the program. I would sit here at 8, 12, 14 hours sometimes just sitting there researching, writing, drinking coffee, you know, and listening to my jazz. My wife would be like, man, I'd be so glad when you finish this school. but you know, those things, the confirmation comes for me. And Steve, I don't know if I answered your question, but that's where I am, and that's why that's who I am. I ignored these things for so long, and now I cannot ignore them anymore. And the older I get, the more concerned I am for my eternal soul.
Yeah,
And here's what I believe, for what it's worth.
it's worth something.
We've got to change the heart and soul of our political process.
Okay.
We've got to experience some kind of regression back to the norm of civility, compassion, care for human, character of people. We've got to move back toward that. And these extremes we're on all sides. Mm-hmm. But you're far left, you're far right. We will never survive continuing to pull each other apart.
Totally
A house
agree.
divided against itself cannot stand. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. Until we start to focus on what we have in common, people say, oh, we're stronger together, and it's almost cliche-ish now, but it's true. Mm-hmm. We are stronger together, and until we find the method to connect with those who may disagree with us ideologically or politically, mm-hmm. until we find that way to connect, we're going to continue to pull apart. And I believe changing the heart and soul of our political process has to start somewhere. Why not start with this campaign right now? That we appeal to people who believe in those same common principles of goodness, of decency, of respect that we all claim to adhere to.
I think first of all and foremost for all of us that we don't start out political beings. We get influenced by
That's right.
our families, our communities, the people around us,
Our cultures, yes.
what we see on television, what we watch on the digital networks. And then we think, oh, I think what happens with all of us is we get feeling like we're part of a tribe, somebody that's we can relate to. And if they are willing to accept us, then we're much happier to be part of that group. My argument is, and I think it's very parallel to exactly what you're saying, Ethan, is that my thought is we are all part of the tribe of humanity. And if we can accept that we can easily love each other no matter how different we are,
It has to start there,
then
Mark.
then we can change our political culture.
Yes.
The idea that you need to hate somebody because you think they believe something that doesn't agree with what you've been taught to believe,
Right.
that may not even resonate with your heart, but it's enough to get you involved in a group. And if that group thinks a certain way, you don't want to be ostracized from that group. And so we want people to know they're welcome in our group.
This is a spiritual battle. Think about it. We've normalized hate in this country. Part of the people, and as a result, the response is a hate.
It's hate on both
response.
sides.
That's right.
It's hate on both sides. I've
So
been caught in both crossfire.
whatever it is, we've normalized hate that's met with hate from the other side. That's not the way we are going to maintain our superpower, our leading standing in the world with soft or hard power. We've got to get back to, and to give a biblical reference, if I may, just real quick, Mark. We have people who follow leaders who don't serve the same truth as they do. And we thought this is the leader or this is the person we wanted. We had a lot of people who believed in Kamala Harris and said, you know what? And they said, well, I don't believe everything she believes, but I believe her enough to follow her. We had the opposition on Donald Trump's side. Oh, I believe him. I don't believe all of that, but I believe enough to follow him. We follow leaders that don't serve the same truth as we serve. We're living in a time right now that if we're not careful, we're going to find ourselves in a country we don't even recognize anymore.
I already do.
Well, I'm hoping not to get there, Steve. I'm hoping that we can start something that appeals to the humanity and the humility, that we start to look at a leader's character first. We've got to start somewhere. Why not be us? Why not us? Why can't we be the ones who start that movement back toward respect, common decency, human dignity? Why can't it be us? The same way that hate caught on, and how many years did it take for that to get to the point it is now? It's been almost 10 years, right? Now it's mainstream, it's normalized. It started somewhere. Why can't we start taking that back?